All right, let's talk about the perfect, crispy, roasted potato. You know the one I mean? Today we're going to walk through a method that is so reliable, so foolproof, it's going to become your absolute go-to. So, what's the goal here? It's simple, really. We're after that perfect combination. A crunchy, golden brown outside and a light, fluffy inside. It's time to say goodbye to sad, soggy potatoes for good. Okay, first things first. To get great results, you gotta have the right setup. Let's quickly run through the ingredients and the few simple tools you're gonna need. For your ingredients, you'll need about 700 grams of potatoes. Now, the type really matters here. You want starchy potatoes like Yukon Golds or Russets. They're the key to that fluffy interior. Other than that, it's just some good olive oil, kosher salt, and black pepper. And hey, if you want to get a little fancy, some garlic powder or rosemary is an amazing touch.
And don't worry, you don't need any special equipment. We're talking about basic kitchen gear. A large pot, a good baking sheet, some parchment paper, which makes cleanup so much easier, and a colander.
That's it. Let's get into the first, and honestly, the most important step, the parboil. This is the secret. It's what guarantees that fluffy inside and gets the outside of the potato perfectly prepped for getting super, super crispy.
But before you do anything else, go preheat your oven. You want to set it to 220 degrees Celsius, which is 425 Fahrenheit. You need that oven screaming hot and ready to go the second the potatoes are.
Okay, action number 1. Grab your potatoes and cut them into big, even chunks. We're talking about 1.5 to 2 inches. Why does the size matter so much? Well, if they're all uniform, they'll all cook at the same rate. No burnt bits next to raw centers.
Once they're chopped, get them into your large pot. Now here's a critical detail. Cover them completely with cold, salted water. Starting them in cold water lets them cook evenly from the outside in, which is exactly how you avoid that weird gummy texture.
All right, put that pot on the stove and bring the water to a rolling boil. As soon as it's boiling, start a timer for about 10 minutes. The goal here isn't to cook them all the way through. We're just softening up that exterior for the next step.
So how do you know they're ready? Don't just rely on the timer. You've got to do the knife test. Gently poke the center of a potato chunk with the tip of a knife. You want it to slide in, but still feel a little bit of resistance. Look at the edges too. They should look soft, maybe even a little crumbly. That's the sweet spot. All right, the parboil is done, which means the fluffy interior is taken care of. Now we get to move on to step 2, building that incredible, crunchy crust. This action has 2 simple parts. First, drain the potatoes completely in your colander. Let them sit and steam for just a minute. Then, and this is the fun part, give that colander a few really firm shakes. I'm serious, don't be gentle. About 10 seconds should do it. So what's happening when you shake them? You're actually roughing up the surface, creating all these little nooks and crannies. This makes a kind of starchy paste on the outside, and that is what's going to turn into the amazing crispy crust in the oven. You'll know you did it right when they look a little battered and almost fluffy on the outside.
Now, for the last step before they go in the oven. Tip those roughed up potatoes into a big bowl. Drizzle them with olive oil, then be generous with the salt and pepper, and add any other seasonings you're using. Give it all a good toss until every single piece is evenly coated.
And here we go. It's time for the final stage, the roast. This is where all that prep work pays off, and that hot oven turns these potatoes into something truly special.
But hold on. Before you put them on the pan, let's talk about the single biggest mistake people make, crowding the baking sheet. If you pack them in too tight, they just release moisture and end up steaming each other, and that leads to pale, soft potatoes. We can do better.
So the solution is super easy. Just spread your potatoes out in a single, even layer on that parchment lined sheet. Give them some personal space. You want to make sure they aren't touching. This lets the hot air circulate all around each piece so they roast instead of steam.
Okay, into the hot oven they go. Now, this process has 2 parts. First, you're going to roast them for 20 minutes without touching them. Then, pull the tray out and carefully flip each potato over. Pop them back in the oven for another 15 to 25 minutes until they're absolutely perfect. And how do you know when they're truly done? Your eyes are going to tell you everything. You're looking for a deep, rich, golden brown color all over. The outside shouldn't just be brown. It should look visibly crisp, textured, and hardened. And for the final, most satisfying check of all, just listen. Give the baking tray a gentle shake. If you hear that distinct, dry, rustling sound as the potatoes slide around, well, that's the sound of success. You've done it.